Hello friends, welcome to Turning Pages. My name is Aruj and today it's a really cozy day. So I thought let's bring out a really cozy mug. Can you see this? It's a little cat. And I thought to myself that what could be better than having a warm cup of tea and some cozy books from all around the world. So today we're doing cozy book recommendation, but of course because this is Turning Pages, so we are going to do not just any cozy books, but we're going to do translated fiction from all over the world. Let's get started. The first book that I'm going to be recommending you is a Japanese translated fiction. It is called What You Are Looking For Is in the Library. It is written by Michiko Aoyama and it is translated by Alison Watts. It is published by Hanover Square Press. It actually got published in English from Japanese in 2023, so it's a quite recent release. The story is about 5 different characters who are completely unrelated to each other. So it has 5 small chapters. And all of those 5 characters have got nothing in common except that they are going through something in life. It could be something existential, it could be something of a small decision, it could be anything. And somehow they find their way to this library in Tokyo where a very enigmatic librarian, her name is Sayuru Kumachi, who loves felting, recommends them really unusual books that doesn't sound like it would help them at all. And somehow each of these characters really solve their problems with the help of the book recommended by Sayuri Kumachi. So it's really wholesome, it's really warm, it's really heartfelt. It also felt very relatable. You kind of see yourself in a lot of these characters. You also see a lot of these characters in you. And this book was truly very low stake, cozy, and a perfect read with a warm cup. Another book that is published by Hanover Square Press in 2023 is a German translated book. It's called The Door-to-Door Bookstore. It is written by Karsten Henn and it is translated to English by Melody Shaw. This book makes you feel like you are walking into a small German town and you can feel as our old protagonist, Carl, who is around 70 to 80 years old, he is our book delivery person. And as he walks on each pavement and he takes each street with care, you are there with him and you are walking on those streets and on those pavements with him. You can see that small German town in your head. It is so beautifully written. But what the story is about? The story is about Carl, who is our door-to-door bookstore. Every day he goes into this bookstore. He picks a few books that he has recommended and then he wraps them very carefully and then he delivers them by hand to his special customers. And he does that every single day. And he has his own routine. But along the way, to disturb his routine, enters a 9-year-old girl named Shasha. And Shasha observes this bookwalker, she calls him, and she just one day says, "I'm going to join you." And Carl doesn't like this idea of a 9-year-old girl walking with a stranger delivering books, because to him, this act of delivering a book to these customers who he has associated a kind of a literary character as well. For example, we have a Mr. Darcy among other characters. And he thinks this is a very private moment and he thinks this is a very meaningful act. And he doesn't want anyone involved into this, especially not a 9-year-old girl. But somehow, Shasha enters not into the life of Carl, but also the lives of each of our customers. And we get to know each of our customers a little better. And we get to know a completely different lens because of how Shasha interacts with these people. This book is about found family and friendships and how much someone can mean to you even though it's not such a big task that they perform into your life, but how much one small act can make someone mean so much to you. The book is really beautiful and picturesque and comforting and wholesome and simply perfectly cozy. So, the door-to-door bookstore. Let's go back to Japan for a minute, because the next book that I'm going to be recommending you is called Days at the Morisaki Bookshop. This is written by Satoshi Yagisawa, and this is translated by Eric Ozawa. This was also released in English in 2023 by Harper Perennial last year, so another recent release. The story follows Takako, who is a 20-something protagonist, and she just got cheated, so she quits her job and she is trying to look for a new job, but she's pretty much depressed. And then she suddenly got a call from her uncle, who has a bookstore, and he asks her how about she comes and lives on the second floor of the bookshop, which is vacant, and in exchange she can just help him with the bookshop. And she kind of begrudgingly agrees because she is not a book reader, I know. But worry not. She goes to the small area called Imbocho in Tokyo, where our Morisaki bookshop is located. It is a generational bookstore that has been run in the family, and Takako's uncle Satoru is actually very proud of his bookstore. This area is full of bookstores, so a lot of bookstores have their own specialty. Morisaki bookstore specialized in selling second-hand literary books. I would be so happy inside that bookstore, but I cannot read in Japanese, so there is that small problem. Takako slowly returns to her normal routine as she kind of accepts help from her uncle Satoru. She starts reading some of the recommendations that he gave her, and she finds her way out of her depression, and she also in the end began to help her uncle. I'm not going to tell you more than that because it's a very, very small book, and if I explain anything else, it's going to be going in the spoilery section, so I'm going to stop telling you the story here. But don't forget to pick up your copy of Days at Morisaki Bookshop and have a cozy, comforting read yourself. So let's change the pacing a little bit. Let's go to Italy, because this book that I've got is called If on a Winter's Night a Traveler. This is written by Italo Calvino, who is an Italian author. This is a vintage classic edition, and this is translated into English by William Weaver. And this book was published originally in the 1980s. So this is a very peculiar book. Instead of telling you what this book is about, I want to read the synopsis at the back so that you are intrigued and you as a reader understands how it feels to read this book. Hear me out. You go into a bookshop and buy If on a Winter's Night a Traveler by Italo Calvino. You like it, but there's a printing error in your copy. You take it back to the shop and get a replacement, but the replacement seems to be a totally different story. You try to track down the original book you were reading, but end up with different narrative again. This remarkable novel leads you through many different books, including a detective adventure, a romance, a satire, an erotic story, a diary, and a quest. But the hero of all of them is you, the reader. So it is so deliciously captivating, this book. We never get to know the name of our protagonist, but he buys this book and he finds out by reading half of it that, wait, that's not the book that I bought. But the book that he is reading is so much more interesting than the book he went to buy. So he starts to track the book, and each time he starts to track, he finds a new story and a new story and a new story. So will we be able to find out what happened in the beginning of that story. It's very cozy, it is very mysterious, it is adventurous, and you are the main protagonist as a reader. So this is really, really fun. It is a classic and it is still very, very cozy. So If on a Winter's Night, a Traveler by Italo Calvino. The last book that I have got for you is a Korean translated fiction. It is called Welcome to Hyunam-Dong Bookstore. Is it bookstore? Bookshop. Welcome to Hyunam-Dong Bookshop. This is written by Hwang Bo-ram and this is translated by Shanna Tan. This was published by Bloomsbury Publishing in 2023. So again, a very, very recent release. On Goodreads, if you go there, it says that it is not yet released, but I have a copy, so obviously it's released. I would actually recommend you not to read the synopsis because I think the synopsis gives too much away. The way I would recommend you reading this book is that you start from the first page and you get to know as each chapter continues. How cozy this book is can be just understood by the name of the chapter. So for example, there are a lot of chapters here, but if you read the chapter's name, it says something like, it's okay to stop crying, buttons without holes, how similar are you to your writing, all books are equal, a time for silence and a time for conversations. All of these chapters are so cozy. It's like crocheting. You crochet all small chapters and then you combine them together in this book, and then it makes so much more sense and it gives you so much more comfort. So I would actually recommend you to not know anything about this book, just go through it. But the general synopsis of this book is that it is about our protagonist. Her name is Youngju, and she opens a bookstore, but she knows nothing about opening a bookstore. So she opens a bookstore in a rather peculiar location because you wouldn't normally think that this is a place for a bookstore. And we learn a lot about the kind of neighborhood there is in this place. We learn how to open a bookstore, what makes a bookstore important. We see as Youngju makes different decisions and different relationships. We see Youngju hiring her first part-time worker and the ideology behind how she hires that part-time worker. The story and all the characters in this book just makes you fall in love with them. Why she opens a book, why is she here alone, why did she decide to do that? I honestly would recommend that you don't read the synopsis from the back and you just go through it blind and find out yourself, because that way it is so much more heartwarming and a heartfelt story, and it's really, really cozy to the fullest. I basically love this book, so don't miss this one. This is amazing. This is called Welcome to Hyunam-Dong Bookstore. Welcome to Hyunam-Dong Bookshop. And that's it, friends. Those are all of the 5 translated fiction cozy book recommendations. Did you notice that all of those 5 books were about books? Because for me, you cannot get more cozy than books about books. So I decided to recommend you 5 books that were translated fiction, and so they will take you across 4 different countries: Germany, Korea, Italy, and Japan. Because there are plenty of creators who have made amazing videos about cozy books. So for me, I wanted you to travel to different places and still be very cozy. So I hope you enjoy all of those books. I wanted to ask you, what is one cozy book that you would recommend me that is a translated fiction? Not an English book, but is a translated fiction. Please comment down below one of your favorite translated fiction cozy book. Or it could not be cozy, it could be book about book. It could be anything. Let me know in the comments below, and I look forward to your recommendations. Now, I'm going to go and finish my tea, and I wish all of you a happy, cozy day. Thank you so much for always tuning in. I know I try to be regular at posting, but I am not very regular. Thank you always for tuning in to Turning Pages, and thank you always for liking my videos. Please do subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next video. Turning Pages, signing off. Bye!